Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Successful Local Marketing Show, where we're going to be covering online directories and why it's important to you, your business, and your clients. Stay tuned. Hey, Fireman Mike here, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about local directories and why it's important to you, your clients, and your business. You see, in local marketing, this is an area that really gets missed, and it's local search. The great thing is us as local marketers have a huge opportunity to capitalize on what most people are missing. You see, all the big SEO companies aren't really focusing on local search. They're focusing on the search engine optimization, which is getting that website to rank. What we know as local marketers, though, is we're in a whole new economy of reputation and relationships. And nothing shows that more than local search. That's where the business's reviews show up. That's where information about the business shows up. You know, and even heat mapping is showing now that more people are going to a website or going to Google and they're looking at the areas of local search before they're looking at the organic search. They're looking at the Google plus local area. So us as local marketers really need to be paying attention to local search and, more importantly, the local directories that drive local search. So Google doesn't have its own business database. It's established one now, but when they started out in local, they didn't really have one. And so Google has software that goes out and it scrapes all the other local directories like Manta, Merchant Circle, Yellow Pages, Yelp, Bing, Yahoo, Angie's List, all of those different ones. Google basically went out and scraped all those to establish their own database. As a result of doing that, part of the local search algorithm is related to how much your business information matches or your client's business information matches across all of those searches. And what Google's looking for is what we call the NAP, the name, address, and phone number. And let's think of Google. Let's think of it as Google. Because you know what, so many people try to spam Google, right? They try to play tricks. So think of it, if you went out and scraped 100 different directories and there was all kinds of different business names and addresses and phone numbers, it makes that business look a little bit fishy. Versus if the name, address, and phone number and that information is congruent across all of those places, it gives that business more credibility in the search engines. As a result of increased credibility, that's going to give increased trust. And with increased trust, those rankings tend to rise up to the top of local search. There's some other things that really matter, like good reputation, good reviews, those types of things, but we're not talking about that in this episode. We're talking about the local directories. So it's important when you're looking at local search to make sure that your clients' businesses are optimized across all of the major local search properties to give your clients the absolute best option to rise to the top. Now, I'm going to be covering more of how you do that in our resources section, but for now, let's go into this week's frequently asked question. This week's frequently asked question came from one of my coaching students when they very first got started with me. And the question was, Mike, which directories do I optimize first to help my client with local search? And it's a great question. The answer is it depends. You see, if you're working in the hotel industry, one of the first directories you want to get optimized would be TripAdvisor, or in the restaurant industry would be Urban Spoon. You know, if you're working in a contractor industry, you really want to be focusing on Angie's List. And so while there's thousands of local directories out there that need to be optimized, you really need to be strategic and see which directories line up with your local clients. So there's so many out there that could potentially need to be optimized based on your business industry. Another thing you need to look at is what local area are you in? What we know is local directories that are optimized to match Google really help with local search. So here in my area, we own Duke City Local. We own a local directory. Well, it benefits our clients greatly to make sure that they're optimized in the Duke City local directory because they're in the Albuquerque area, and it just helps them. So what in your area, what local directories do you have? Additionally, what industry directories are there that you can put your business in? Again, there's plumbing directories, there's lawyer directories, there's all kinds of different directories out there. And you want to make sure that your client's business is optimized in the industry directories, the local directories, and then the big online directories related to their field. We'll talk more about this in the resources section of how do you figure this stuff out. But to answer the question is it really depends. What I want to do next is we're going to move into this week's success quote. Each week, I want to talk to you about some powerful quotes that will help guide your business and guide your life. You see, there's so much that can be said, and language is so important. You know, certain people have certain ways of saying things that can really impact our lives as local marketers. Not only our lives, but our businesses and our clients' businesses. So each week, I want to share a success quote with you. And this week's quote comes from none other than Dan Kennedy. And Dan says, if you're surrounded by toxic people, they could be sucking your wealth away from you. Think about that for a minute. If you're surrounded by toxic people, they could be sucking your wealth away from you. This is just a new way of saying that your income is going to be the equivalent of the 5 people you hang around. So the point of this week's quote is to stop and evaluate who are you hanging out with? What TV shows are you watching? What are you doing online? Are those congruent to the type of wealth you want to have? Are those congruent to the type of success that you want to have in your local marketing business? If not, it may be time to change some things. Let's talk about this week's sponsor next. Successful local marketing is made possible by our great sponsors. So each episode, we're going to highlight a sponsor who's helping make this show possible for you. This week's sponsor is Maverick Web Marketing. It's one of the companies I own. And I know you're asking, well, why is your company, Mike, one of the sponsors? Well, twofold. Number one, we're actively looking for sponsors. So if you know of anybody who may want to sponsor the show, have them get in contact with us at sponsors@Successful Local Marketing. The other reason, though, I'm having Maverick sponsor this show is we're a great resource for other local marketers. You see, you can get caught up in a trap of trying to sell and trying to fulfill. Well, I've got an entire team here at Maverick that is absolutely fantastic at fulfillment. They do it for all of our clients. So if you're looking for a partner in this industry to handle the fulfillment side of your business, consider my team at Maverick. The process that you have to go through is basically it's a one-on-one consultation that we work with you to see what you're offering and then what we could charge to fulfill that for you. So it's not for everybody, but if you're interested in having a reliable stateside fulfillment agency, go ahead and reach out to us at maverikwebmarketing.com. We'll be able to get you all set up. Up next, I want to share with you a great book that I read that will truly help your business. Leaders are readers. Jim Rohn, the great philosopher, says that if you're not reaching the goals, you should look at the books that you're standing upon to reach them. Basically, that means if you're not reading enough, you're not going to reach your goals. You should have huge success libraries. Every successful local marketer that I know is an avid reader. So each week, I'm going to give you a book report, a book review of a great book that I've read. This week is an easy one. It's called The Go-Getter by Peter Kane. You can get it on Amazon, you can get the paperback version or a Kindle version, super inexpensive. I think you can find it for under $5. This book has a great message in it. The message is about not giving up. It's about a serviceman who's given a bunch of tasks by a business owner to complete as a test. And I think life gives us tests all the time, whether it's a financial test or stress that we may have in our life or a technical problem. Those are all tests. And the difference between people who are successful and people who aren't are how they handle these tests. And I think that by reading The Go-Getter, it will help put into perspective the way you should look at challenges in your life. This book is so important. Not only did I read it, it was assigned reading for my entire team. And I would recommend that you make it assigned reading for you and your entire team as well. Again, it's a small investment of time. It's a small investment of money that will give you compounding rewards. So again, I highly recommend you get the book, The Go-Getter, and read it as soon as you can. Let's move in next to our resources section. Here on the Successful Local Marketing Show, I don't want to leave you hanging. So while we're going to highlight things that you need to be paying attention to or talk about solutions, I want to make sure that you can implement what you need to do to overcome those problems or to fulfill the solutions. So I'm going to have a resources segment of the show. This week's segment is going to focus on the resources for local directories. there's two great resources that I have for you. Now, I do want to be right up front. These are affiliate links. These affiliate links help offset the production costs of this show. So, if you could, please click on the affiliate link if you're going to buy something. It helps me out. It helps the team of being able to produce this show. But I just want to make that clear. The first resource is by a local marketer named Drew Laughlin, who put together an entire training course on local online directories. It gives you special reports, it gives you websites, it gives you a PowerPoint. And the point of it is to be able to educate local clients while at the same time putting enough in their minds that they really shouldn't do this themselves and they should hire you. So not only are you doing educational based marketing, but you also are setting yourself up to be hired by the client. So all you got to do to check out this resource, it's very affordable, is go to successfullocalmarketing.com/local-directories. Again, successfullocalmarketing.com/local-directories. Now, what are you going to do when you get these clients? Here at Maverick, we use a lot of resources, but one of the ones that serves us best for local directories and local search is a product in a software suite called Bright Local. Now, we use this for a lot of different things in our business, and when you check it out, you'll see why. But one of the things it does is I'm not a big believer in using software for these local directories. I think it's dangerous, and I think that you don't get as high quality when you use software for local directory submission. So inside of Bright Local, there's a lot of different ways to get this type of work done. A lot of top marketers use Bright Local. So in order to check that out, go to successfullocalmarketing.com/Bright Local. Again, successfullocalmarketing.com/Bright Local. So what I've given you are the resources to not only educate yourself and your clients about local directories, but also to have a marketing piece in place. And I've also given you a resource on how to help fulfill these services when you get hired. So check out the links below. Again, go implement them because I believe these resources are going to be invaluable to your business. Our last segment is I'm going to talk to you about what's coming up next week on the Successful Local Marketing Show. As we wrap up this week's episode, I've got a challenge for you. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't challenge you, because I know you can do better than you're doing. That's the whole point of the show, is to show you what successful local marketers are doing and how to better your business. So this week's challenge is learn about local directories. You see, successful people will go and do that. Unsuccessful people will think about it, or they'll get the knowledge and they'll never put it into action. So I want you to go learn about local directories. Get that product if that's what it's going to take. Go research other areas on local directories. But not only that, that's only half of the challenge. The other half of the challenge is how do you fulfill that work so you're not doing it? Because if you're doing the work, you're not out building your business and you're not selling. So the challenge is twofold. Learn about local directories and figure out how you're going to fulfill it, okay? I'm really excited about next week's episode that I'm going to bring you, where I'm going to highlight my notes from the recent Traffic and Conversion Summit. There's a lot of things us local marketers need to be paying attention to, and there's a lot of things that are different than maybe things that are going on a national stage. They all affect our local businesses and our clients, but we need to be paying attention to certain things, and so I'm going to highlight some of the things I took away from Traffic and Conversion. I also just finished up a phenomenal book that's changed my paradigm on wealth building that I want to share with you. And lastly, we're going to talk about website optimization. You see, there's things totally different in local marketing than maybe a national e-commerce site. There's certain things you need to have on your client's website, and there's certain things you need to avoid in order to get your local clients the absolute best conversion possible. So I'm going to cover with you the 5 things you need to be paying attention to when it comes to local marketing and optimizing clients' website for the greatest lead flow and the greatest conversions. Until next time, thanks for hanging with us on Successful Local Marketing. We'll see you soon. Make sure that you're registered and subscribed to our list so you're notified of the next episode and of all the cool things we've got coming. Want to keep in touch? Text your name and email to 505-431-4099. Again, 505-431-4099. Or call the same number and leave a message with your name and email. That way we'll make sure you don't miss any of our great content.